writers couldn't resist putting in the trope of a character who betrays a group, then feels bad about it after falling in love with a member of the group, and then wants the group to forgive them for said betrayal. So let's go through the list of people throughout the show who have betrayed the main group or made huge mistakes endangering the group and then have sought forgiveness. In no particular order: Eugene, Abraham, Fistbump, Carol, Bob, maybe? I don't know. I'm sure there are
Bob
others
fucked
missing.
him over for alcohol. Gabriel, my God, Gabriel's number one with a bullet.
Yeah.
Hopefully a bullet right through his head.
Then he goes, current redemption arcs are Gabriel and Dickless. Well, Dickless is done for, but this email came in before this episode.
Which, we didn't actually make that point, but this undercuts his redemption arc.
Completely, yeah.
Completely.
Well, so it was, yeah, it turns it from...
If Glenn survives, there is no point to his redemption arc at all. It's just a pointless thing with no payoff.
You're right.
Because Glenn was wrong. He knows it. Shame on him. He's going to survive anyway.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. It takes all the teeth out of that. He says, both of which make no sense, as they should have been either executed or banished for their acts. Kind of agree. I predict they will both either be forgiven or die during the process through a redemptive act.
You're half right.
He says, I hope myself and Jim are wrong, but clever, creative, and unpredictable storytelling is not this show's strong point.
Yeah, I see zero evidence other than a potentially dodgy edit on her dialogue, which that last episode had a couple of weird interruptions, like Jesse and Ron arguing, and this show has never been the most slickly edited thing ever. That's the only evidence that she is a wolf.
All right, well, Jack's going to weigh in on it little bit. And it kind of more on your side here. Given her comment to Carl, that's how we were able to something. I initially thought Enid was a wolf, but then I thought, if she's a wolf, why didn't the wolves go for the guns in the armory first? Why did the wolves who were confronted by Morgan seem spooked by "we have guns"? Also, if Enid was a member of, oh god, Twilight reference, Team Jacob, really?
He's the buff, not sickly looking one.
Wolf people, like, sure, I get it. Why did she still have the keys during the invasion? When she hands them to Carl, she says, didn't want them to have them. I think that's explained by her change of heart. Like her, oh my god, I've fallen in love with Carl, we kissed in a tree, and now I don't want him to die. That sort of thing.
But she's talking like, I guess Carl, then your interpretation is he's cutting her off because he doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to know that the woman he locked lips with in a rotten tree is secretly a wolf.
No, I think he just cuts her off because he has other things to say.
Nah.
Which is unfortunate because it's not great writing.
Boo.
This leads me to believe that Enid is a double agent like Richard Burton in Where Eagles Dare. I've never seen that. But, seems she is playing all sides, just surviving somehow. I kind of like that theory, you know?
Yeah.
Like if she is a wolf, she's come into this community and now she's just doing what she's done all along, which is just survive somehow.
Having seen this episode, it wouldn't be the worst thing to have her be a wolf, but I still think y'all are reaching.
Okay. And then he talks about the A stamp. As to the A stamp
we fucked that up.
Yeah, that Carol saw on the porch. Isn't that the stamp in episode 13, Forget, from last season? After Rick is stamped, Jesse tells him, you are officially one of us. So is that what Sam is saying to Carol? You are officially one of us.
Yeah, it's weird because I still want to make the same point that I don't... The thing I bitched about is like this red stamp seemed like it came out of nowhere and was ambiguous. And I didn't know. And a lot of people are like, oh, what's the stamp he's stamping everybody's hands with?
Yeah.
Even recognizing that, I didn't immediately go to like, oh, now you're part of Alexander, and what does that mean to Carol? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I needed a last episode, or that should have been in the previously ons at the front.
Yeah, I honestly had forgotten about
Yeah.
the meaning of that stamp.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Jack wrote in and let us know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people, at least on the forums, I feel like that was reminding us of that. Yeah, I felt like I really fell down on that. Especially, I had no excuse. I hadn't disengaged the episode. I loved the last episodes.
All right, I'm going to give a listener a little chance to just kind of say how they felt about Glenn's death and how they enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I don't think this is a Twilight reference, but his name's Edward.
Edward C.
No.
From Pacific Northwest.
Definitely not. He says, fuck, I felt Glenn's death coming this episode. As soon as he started getting all heroic, I actually cried when it happened and was hoping this was a dream.
Classic Edward.
I really think this show is going for some awards this season. So Edward loved it. He loved it.
You guys need to calm down about the awards, though. It's not.
They're not going to.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, maybe they're going for them, but
technical awards.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, they are pulling out of stops for the
Nicotero.
the makeup,
he's gonna
the
win one.
visual effects.
Yeah,
I could see it getting some buzz.
I think
for.
it's some stiff competition with Game of Thrones, man.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to think of a category where, and there's so much good television.
Like, I can see makeup getting an award, but probably not visual effects.
Because you got Hard Home.
Yeah.
Like,
that's going to be hard to beat.
Hard Home was a better executed version of the Quarry scene.
And it's just
and that's
epic.
saying nothing that I really enjoyed episode 601. But yeah, I don't know. I'd calm down on all that because you're going to be disappointed come Emmy time.
Okay, well, time to disappoint a lot of people who like this episode. We're moving into the Glenn section of this thing. Tanya says, I'm not want to say I told you so, especially when I'm so utterly heartbroken, but come on. Couldn't we have given Glenn one more episode to stop being so goddamn nice? I think Tanya is the one last time who said he needs to, like, slap a baby or something.
Yeah.
To keep from being the good guy who's going to get killed. Yeah.
The moral center, again,
yes.
the moral center of the show.
She goes on, I mean, we all know that no good deed goes unpunished, but is that really supposed to lessen the blow of the way Dickless straight up killed Glenn? By even being more dickless than we could have possibly imagined.
Sure.
It kills me.
Sure.
And the worst part is no one will know. They'll just keep looking for him and hoping he'll show up. But he won't. He won't even get the dignity of a proper burial. Glenn deserved a proper burial, damn it.
Well, the good news is we know Maggie does really well with theoretical death. Like, if you're just probably dead off somewhere, it's fine. If she knows sure, that's when she throws, she just loses her shit.
Yeah.
She throws a rod out and it's like, so maybe she'll do well in the post-Glenn ambiguous future.
Aaron S. says, I hope I'm wrong, but I've watched the scene where Glenn gets killed several times this evening, and I believe they're going to pull some serious bullshit regarding Glenn's death. We never get a clear view of Glenn being torn apart, and when the camera pulls up, we only see walkers eating around Glenn's legs, which is where Dickless' body would have been. I think they will have him either crawl under the dumpster or some ridiculous Deus Ex Machina scenario. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I refuse to believe this show grew some balls overnight to kill the main character like that. So that's one theory, right? He's going to climb under the dumpster, which I think they set it up so there's room for him to do that.
So that's his version of the tank. It would. So yeah. I did notice that. Did you hear that Glenn called Rick over the? I
got feedback on that.
Over the CB asshole or whatever.
Dumbass. Yeah.
Dumbass, which echoes deliberately, and
yeah,
it would be kind of cool because remember Glenn has a CB.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to have him hold up under that thing and Rick surveying it, and they have maybe a decent chunk of an episode devoted to how they could save Glenn.
But honestly, I want to see that at the end, right? Like, I want to see Glenn shimmy under the dumpster and be stuck under there and go, oh my God.
I agree. No, I'm
how
not
is he
taking
going to
back
get out of
anything
this?
I said about the way they staged and the way they've handled this, but I'm saying that will take a significant amount of sting off of if they do kind of mine that history to turn the tides on them. I think that would be kind of cool.
They did a lot of that this episode. I'm going to move on to
That's the one
Max.
that I caught myself. I forgot to mention the notes, but yeah.
Yeah, Max from Winnipeg. I think he's either going to point this out or something similar. Glenn isn't dead. Obviously, I know this, but I don't know this, but hear me out. Like you stated in your Instacast, it's quite possible that Nicholas fell on top of Glenn. Glenn and Nicholas killed a ton of walkers, and Glenn could have easily fell on top of them. Glenn got a protection sandwich from Nicholas' body, providing the guts the zombies were eating, and the zombies they killed masked Glenn's scent. So that's the other theory, is they're going to rip his guts out, it's going to spill all over Glenn's face, and they're not going to eat him because they don't know he's there.
Although,
which
that would
is
make
also
him smell
the
like
callback.
a yummy human, not a disgusting zombie. Yeah?
I would think so. Like that freshly pulled guts.
That'd be like if a cow tries to hide from me by slathering A1 sauce on him. Nope, sorry, cow.
Yeah, like I think somebody in an email called it, like said it would just be gravy to the zombies.
Yeah,
not masking his scent. And I think that's probably right, but it is a callback too to the guts stuff from earlier, right? If they had that happen.
True.
So maybe that's another interesting mirror and callback and all that stuff. Also, he says there's more. The last shot of the RV with Rick was very similar to the last bird's eye view shot of Rick in the tank from episode 1, season 1. Rick has a radio, so does Glenn, like you said. Glenn fell behind the group, obviously, as did Rick. Is it possible that Glenn will get away and help save Rick yet again?
Here, I got it. They're both stuck in the tank situation. Glenn walks Rick on through fixing the RV from underneath the
go.
dumpster.
He gets on top of the hood.
Rick fires up the RV, plows it into the alley, and saves Glenn. Done and done.
Yep.
Done
That's
and
awesome.
done. There's still time for reshoots, boys. Just take a long hiatus. We'll see you in February. Get it done.
Moving on to Bob. He says, "Hey guys, just finished listening to your instant take. I have to say that personally, I felt like the death of Glenn was the most impactful to me in the entire series so far because of the fact that it was so out of left field. I agree with Aaron.
These are the people I really feel sorry for because this guy, or is it a girl?
No, it's guy, Bob.
This person has been genuinely emotionally affected by this bullshit jerk off, if it is.
And then we're tearing it down. Sorry to do that to you.
No, I'm saying like he's not a fool for believing that. That's why I'm saying like I'd like to say that they are. They're like they're rubes, but they constructed this to make you think that. So you are being deliberately practiced on, sir, and you should be outraged when you find out that all this bummed capital you spent was a fake out. I would think.
He goes on. I agree with Aaron that it felt hollow, but I think that's what made it hit so hard. It showed how cold the world of The Walking Dead can be.
Totally
tossing
agree.
a main character into death like a piece of meat.
Yep.
Or maybe it's just Glenn nostalgia since he's been around so long.
I mean, you're forgiven for both. Like this guy's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe that was my big clue that it was a fake out. Is I felt strangely unaffected.
But I feel like that really works if they make it clear that he's dead.
Sure.
But they don't make it that clear
because they're tricking us, and which is why I think I subconsciously just like I'm having a delayed reaction. I'm Maggieing him. Like until I know for sure, I'm going to put off my grief.
Speaking of Maggie, he goes on with a fairly out of left field question of his own. Also, what do you think about the possibility of Maggie going to Tara for comfort and those two developing more of a serious relationship? Would Maggie swing that way? I've never seen anything from Maggie that tells me she's anything but straight. I don't know if she would change her mind. I'm not getting that vibe from her, but
I mean, there's the concept of like gay for the stay or whatnot.
Okay, so while this Walking Dead shit's going down, in normal
situations you wouldn't do that. But if you're in an apocalypse where there's not a lot of eligible people and you have the strong, intense situation you're in,
she was in prison and she didn't do it, so there you go.
That would maybe engender, but she's also slamming 1 Minute Man Glenn on a regular basis. So
it's true, yeah.
Up in that tower, man,
yep.
They're making a soup kitchen in that tower on a regular basis.
So I don't know. The show's never said anything about that as far as Maggie goes, but
I think people just want to see girls make out on a show,
probably.
And there's the internet.
There is, yeah. Moving on,
probably
to Brad.
even a Rule 34 of it if you really want to see it.
Moving on to Brad, he says, if we've been faked out for the death of Glenn, I'm going to be super pissed. In my opinion, clues are pointing to his being alive. He wasn't on The Talking Dead, and his death wasn't mentioned in the memorial segment of the show.
But that's
another point,
and
right?
I wonder if that's one of the reasons there's this ham-fisted mumbly gump about it is because like, oh shit, we got The Talking Dead.
What the fuck are we gonna do? We're not gonna show his in memoriam.
To me, I'd get Stephen Young in there and I would have him say, yeah, I was like, it was really hard and like you
do it in memoriam section.
You just you put him out there and you have him tell fucking whopping big lies.
How pissed does that make everybody afterward though?
I don't know. It's
so they're not in a good position to do this, and this is why you don't do it, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, like to me, just commit, and then
people are gonna be so angry after.
But you know what? The thing is, if they don't have an awesome way to wrap this up that's commiserate with how pissed off people are going to be, then they should have never done this idea in the first place. So if they're giving themselves enough rope to hang themselves with, and they did that to themselves. So again, I would commit to the lie, knowing that they're going to be super pissed, but wait until they find out what we really do. But again, I'm not. Yeah, that's probably not.
It's going to make this. Okay, let me continue reading.
But they had to know. But the thing that drives me crazy, Jim, is they had to know people would feel this way.
Yes,
and that when they got faked out on someone as beloved as Glenn, a first season stalwart that we've gone through all these arcs with, and they've already kind of jerked us around a couple of times. They had to know. Mm-hmm. So they either thought it's funny in like a giggly kind of troll way, or they just didn't care.
Which you don't.
Or door number 3, the ever elusive door number 3. Maybe they actually have something that's going to make all this worthwhile.
Good luck. Continuing because he's got one other thing that's relevant here. This is not it, though. On the other hand, they hinted that Maggie may be pregnant, so perhaps they could kill him, but it seems very unlikely given the tone of The Talking Dead. It's even bigger bullshit if the hints from that idiotic talk show basically brought, hey, we're an idiotic talk show, too. Basically broadcast the truth of his fake demise. Hopefully he is dead, so I don't feel the need to rage quit the show. And then his last line, Glenn calling Rick a dumbass like he did back in episode 2 as a way of pretend finalizing the relationship would also be pretty fucking stupid, right? Like, that's another troll moment. Like, oh, let's bookend all of his story here. And then what do you do when he actually dies, you fuckers?
That's what I'm saying.
What do you do then?
You've kind of robbed the experience a little bit.
Yeah. Like, this bookending shit is not going to work the next time.
No.
You've already done it.
Yep.
You've already shot your wad, and now you're stuck with a character who you can't kill because nobody cares.
You know, it's funny because people, there's two questions that kind of got in the heart of this on our 10 million download Q&A Fiesta Celebration Burrito Town.
Yeah.
Lori Grimes episode. And they said, like, you know, if you had a Chris Hardwick offer to do something official like The Talking Dead, what would you do? And I can't imagine being Chris Hardwick's like, you want to do what now? You're going to do this episode, and then you're not going to have Stephen Young on, and then you're going to do it. Oh, like, I mean, contractually, you have to go on there and carry that water. But, you know, I will accuse Chris Hardwick of many things, but not having his finger on the pulse of fucking fandom is kind of how he's made his bones these last 10 years and more. Yeah. He's got to know exactly how this is going to play out.
He's tuned in. Yeah, he knows. And I don't envy him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I was in this position, I don't know. Do you just quit? Because this goes on you a bit too.
Sure.
You're going to get I don't know. I guess he can always say, I didn't know what they were going to do. I had no direct knowledge that Glenn was still alive. It's funny how we're all talking.
I'm just asking questions. Yeah, sure.
Like, I listened to 2 other Walking Dead podcasts this morning, and everyone is just kind of like, yeah, no, Glenn's not dead.
Yeah.
So you fucked up, man. 2 days after the thing, everybody's pretty much figured out the twist. Yeah, to the extent that if Glenn's really dead, I think people flip back around to being mad because the way they handled it, kind of like they've robbed the whole nihilist, cold, brutal angle from it, you know?
Yeah, and I thought about this in kind of the meta, from the meta angle too. Sure. Like, how do you contain something like that? Like, if you're going for a shot where he's clearly dead and shit just gets out of hand and people are like, no, we're spinning it this way and we're spinning it that way and he doesn't have to be dead, and like shit just snowballs out of control. How do you deal with that? Like, if you're Gimple, so okay, Gimple was on immediately after the episode. So let's not say like that was him completely ignoring what he needed to do in this scenario because he didn't know this scenario was going to exist, assuming he meant for Glenn to clearly be dead. It's like the Breaking Bad thing with Gale.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. People jumped
Internet
on a camera
fucking blew up about that, and
it was a non-issue.
Befuddled Gilligan. He had no idea why it was happening.
Yeah.
So if Gimple really didn't have the intention of making this so ambiguous, why? Like, what does he do?
I don't know.
What does the show do?
Because I don't think that's
when people are decrying the show and saying this is the worst.
I always thought the
episode,
Gale thing was a bunch of hooey that like I really
Me
like
too.
that can
Me
be
too.
cleared up with another close watch of the scene.
And now we're on kind of the other side of it, right?
This is like no, this seems like
everything's pointing to
if
Glenn
you meant
being...
this to be a decisive death, you done fucked up. You violated a lot of the rules of your own damn kind of genre, honestly. You see someone being ripped up and
it's weird. It's gonna be
so as Seppenwall wrote an article this morning.
Yeah,
because his article when he wrote it Sunday night was like, well, Glenn's dead, and like this is just kind of a brutal, nihilistic. I got to give props to the showrunners for being willing to do it,
and I would have said that too. Yeah,
and it really this feels appropriate for the universe. And he comes out today and he's like, this is a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Because if Glenn comes back from the dead, you've undercut all of that emotional weight and resonance of what and the kind of courage to do that on the television show.
People are going to feel cheated emotionally.
And if he's dead, the way they've dealt with the aftermath is going to make people feel like they've been jerked around. And you've blunted you've ruined the effect of what you were trying to accomplish. He said, I don't see any way out for the producers where they're going to make any significant portion of the fans feel rewarded and happy.
No, the creators of this show are stuck on a dumpster with the zombie audience all around them trying to pull them down and eat them.
Gimple's going to turn to Nicotero and say, thank you. And there we go.
Thank you for your beautiful effects work.
So what that would make, let's see. So that would make Darabont like Jackie, season 1 Jackie. It'd make Mazera like Dale, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And Nicotero's Dickless, or no, not Nicotero. Gimple's Dickless. All right.
Yeah. And then there's no one left to steer the RV back onto the road. Gardner says,
whoever's executive producing Fear the Walking Dead can save the day. No problem. No problem.
I'm not sure about that.
Flip them the keys to the kingdom. Why not?
Yeah. Gardner says, in a world like the show takes place in, not everyone gets to tie up their life with a little ribbon. So as much as I hate to see Glenn die, I get tired of seeing each character have a big moment before they die. Thought when he put the watch in the bag, I knew he was in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should have definitely been a clue. But his other point of like, we don't need to have this big extravaganza episode for each character when they die, because that's something we've also been, saying is a tell the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a Beth-centric episode. She's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of stuff.
I mean, Tobin's the perfect example of that. A guy we've never even seen before, spilling forth a bunch of life story. I mean, that's the most extreme example.
Yeah.
Let's just give this guy a backstory. So
it's really his only episode.
Yeah, and then give him a little arc where Michonne has to smear off the ink, and
yeah. Going on, Dan says, so first off, Glenn's not dead. Watch that scene again. There's a particular part where you clearly see intestines being pulled out of what looks like Glenn's chest. I'm no doctor, but I know for sure that intestines aren't wrapped around your lungs. So it's quite simple. Nicholas fell on top of him, and Glenn served as nothing more than a table for the walkers and their Nico feast.
Yeah, no, I think that's, and in fact, if you closely watch it, it very much seems like that is Dickless's body, like the clothes and all that matched what they're actually pulling it out of. So to me, it's case closed.
And I mean, Glenn screaming could honestly just be how horrified he is.
Shit!
The scenario, and B, intestines of Nicholas, the guy he's trying to save, have
plus even
being
if
ripped open.
Even if Nicholas' body is laying perfectly on him like a chalk fucking outline.
Yeah.
You still got to think that zombies are going to eat their way through, or like grab a piece of you that's hanging out and like maybe even your face, like start eating your eyeballs or something. Like zombies are not picky.
Yeah, I didn't like the way that Glenn, I don't know how Glenn ended up in the position he ended up in, head first toward the dumpster. Like the way he falls off.
That's impossible. But we've seen
trucks
a Chevy
fall off
work van do
land
Greg
on their
Louganis
wheels.
3/4 half twist,
Yeah.
9 out of 10 from an East German judge kind of stuff. And what are you going to do?
I mean, it just shows you how sloppy everything is. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Nicholas,
maybe
I guess,
he landed on. He actually over-rotated, landed on his head, and then fell. That's the only thing. He maybe Dickless.
So the silence in that scene is him literally just not being able to hear because he's going
got
in
a
and out
stage
of
3
consciousness.
concussion. What's going on inside his head is essentially what's going on in Nicholas's head this whole episode. Just and slow motion and pain.
Speaking of Nicholas, to continue with Dan's email here, I'm wondering if you guys felt that he'd redeemed himself in this episode. I mean, if we look at the facts, you're shaking your head already, but I want to lay out the case.
Yep, no, I'm not jumping. I'm not being hasty at all. Let me carefully consider this.
So, point 1, he helped guide everyone to safety.
Ah, yes.
Point 2, he knowingly put himself in danger to help Glenn find a flammable building.
Yes, of course.
Point 3, he fought till the bitter end and took the hard way out by killing himself after thanking Glenn for not giving up on him. Now, I'm
never
not
described the suicide as the hard way out in this context before.
Definitely the easy way out. So he goes on. Now, I'm not blind to the fact that Nicholas killed more than he saved with his idiotic antics whilst out on runs. And even in those last moments of his life, whilst looking at the walkers and then turning to Glenn, a part of me panicked, thinking he would push Glenn off the dumpster in order to cause a distraction to save his own life. But thank God he didn't. I do feel he endeared himself a lot in this episode, and I was even sad that he died. Glenn really showed there is a dick to be found on most of the dickless characters out there. All right. To end this email, I'd like to applaud both Michonne for her wonderful speech to Heath, and when he saw his reflection in that puddle at the end of the episode, he began to realize what Michonne was really talking about. I especially love the line, "Have you ever done things that made you afraid of yourself?" This is the kind of territory I believe Rick is stepping into right now. These also he he comments on, these guys being against euthanasia, against killing. It's not even euthanasia at that point. It's just mercy killing.
Yeah, it's mercy killing.
Yeah.
Putting him out of your misery is how I describe it, which is, I guess, another way for euthanasia. That's what euthanasia is, right? Otherwise, it's just murder.
So. Yeah.
It's medically necessary.
I think
killing.
that's the definition of it. I'm not certain. It's not something I think about a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he tries to make a case for Dickless not being quite so dickless. But
well, the other thing is I actually
know.
like, because, something I've come to appreciate in talking about mental illness, incidentally, over 4 or 5 years and talking to psychologists and doctors is this, like these psychic breaks, these dissociative episodes are not something that people consciously control. It's not like,
oh yeah,
Dickless is just pussing out. Like when he has these episodes, it's a involuntary reaction to stress beyond what your psyche can bear.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can just snap out.
It's like a seizure, right? You're not just going to say, I'm done having this seizure.
It's like a kid has a seizure and he's like, well, come on, you fucking spaz, get up, run from the zombies. Like
No, it's a physical thing that's happening to him.
That's why I haven't been like, oh, what a fucking dick Dickless has been.
Yeah.
That this is a medical condition he was suffering from. But it's still kind of frustrating.
I think him volunteering to show...
He's trying, sure.
Does he volunteer?
I know that's the thing.
He doesn't.
I think I was about to say that they undercut that with having him kind of shitting his pants as Heath keeps putting him to the front. Well, yeah, you're the one experienced in the town. You're the man. And
also, when Glenn and him go out on the mission, Glenn, like he says, "I'll draw you a map." Glenn says, "No, you're coming with me."
Sure.
And he does. I mean, he steps up and he does actually try and lead this mission, but he doesn't volunteer.
Well, and also I think the reason they got off into the weeds is because he didn't know the town as well, and he was trying to run point, and it's arguable that he
panicked.
He panicked. He got the details
stuck
wrong.
Behind a couple of walker walls.
Sure. But no, he's kind of a pitiful. Yeah. He's honestly kind of a pitiful character.
Yeah.
But there again, that's
and
weird
Glenn
how they
him.
muddied him up. Him and Aiden were these like douchebag assholes are kind of like gleeful about. I don't know. I guess that's a story you tell yourself. It's too much to unpack in one episode, but whatever.
I don't know. I felt like Nicholas' arc was not bad.
It was no. I mean, we were just talking about
good.
how we were kind of engaged with it and how the way they kind of backwards told a story made a lot of sense. And it's interesting what Glenn's doing. I do think that they have fucked it up. Either way they go, they have either blunted the impact of what they're trying to do or completely betrayed it.
Yeah, with the death or not death of Glenn.
So I guess are we supposed to be glad that they're now fumbling on the 1 yard line instead of like not making it past the 50?
No, we shouldn't be. Michael says it seems like a Fishnado level event that he would escape getting bitten, talking about Glenn. But for some reason, I'm okay with this. If Glenn emerges traumatized by this experience, it would be a good character development for him. He should learn from this to be tougher on people like Nicholas. Next time someone shows signs of weakness, Glenn should go into machine mode and pop a cap on him. Good evolution from our favorite Domino's delivery guy.
Yeah, I don't... It's hard to argue with that. I don't know what this show actually believes as far as what morality is supposed to be like in the zombie apocalypse, and maybe it's something you kind of just figure out as you go along. I'd still like, the more I think about it, the more mad I am that they didn't show him like hitting the ground, immediately rolling underneath a thing, and then they set up a situation exactly like Rick, and they laid all this groundwork with him calling him a dumbass and all this stuff, callbacks, these that would have been really interesting in a way that his non-death isn't. So, but then again, those weren't the guys making the show. Hell, I don't know. Other than Nick, maybe Gimple's never even seen season 1. Who knows? I don't know when didn't he join in season 3, or was he a season 2 guy?
Who?
Gimple.
I want to say he was a season. He definitely wasn't season 2. At the earliest, he was season 3.
Okay.
Because Mazzara was the one running things in 2 and 3.
Sure.
Barry C. from the UK says, so some complete asshole fed me a spoiler just before I watched this episode, so it kind of ruined Glenn's stuff for me anyway. However, in my opinion, an underwhelming death is a good way to go. It reminds me of how John Travolta dies in Pulp Fiction. Spoiler alert. He was just essentially thug number 1 in the Bruce Willis story, but because we knew him as the protagonist in an Uma Thurman overdosing story, it was all the more shocking when he got shot on the toilet. That's a really cool... That's a good point.
Sure.
Because, like, especially when you have those dual storylines going. Like he's kind of like a hero of the story
in one point
as
of
we're
view.
seeing him early on in the movie, and then you go to another story and he's a nobody and he just gets killed.
Yep, and then he's a sidekick in the other.
Yeah, I think that's great. He also asks if the guys Rick killed in this episode were the wolves that Morgan let go in the previous episode. Yes.
Oh yes,
they are now. And they made a point, especially of him almost getting killed by the gun that Morgan let go last episode. Dan from Philly. Hey guys, I guess the only word I can use to describe how I feel about this episode is perplexed. 80,000 of the undead in hot pursuit, and this group keeps stopping to have discussions. Sprained ankle or not, the threat of being consumed alive will make you forget any physical limitations you might have. I had this problem in True Detective. The other way, right? Like, if that guy can power through broken ribs, you can power through a sprained ankle.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Come on.
Yeah. And there's also another uncomfortable parallel this season to True Detective. They did a very memorable fake out death that left a kind of sour taste in our mouth, and that never really paid off and became more than what it was. So,
but honestly, kind of seemed more reasonable in retrospect, right?
No, seriously, it's not nearly as big a horseshit as this is, but it's still, it undercut that, and that's one of the reasons it was a good show, not great this year. So you take a good show, The Walking Dead, I'll grant was a good show these first 2 episodes, and you pull this shit, what does it become?
He also says, if next week's show is 90 minutes of Morgan learning the ways of the Force, I'm going to be pissed. Yeah, I don't want that whole episode to be...
Strap in.
God.
Because that's
all they showed us
probably
in the
what
preview.
it's going to be.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, look, I get people are pissed at Morgan, but Lenny James, 90 minutes, he's never not been stellar. I'm actually very puzzled because that seemed to be the sentiment of a lot of people. Fuck this Morgan episode. Really? Just because he had a little bit of over rampant morgalizing, like maybe there's a good reason for that.
I'm only fuck this Morgan episode because I want this shit to play out.
Sure,
like,
no,
I want the herd stuff to be happening and
against
done.
the backdrop of all this stuff and Glenn's death, and it's a bit much. But I don't
want to go away for a whole episode.
Okay, that's fair. But to be like, I'm not interested at all in Morgan's backstory is shocking to me. And
sure, I agree.
A lot of people are expressing that opinion, and I just wow, that's surprising.
Yeah. Giovanni says, I watched the episode and immediately checked the ratings for it on IMDb just to get an instant glimpse of the reaction it received. I was shocked to see that it rated 9.8 out of 10 with almost 1,500 votes. That raises the question of what will piss people off enough to not watch this show?
Well, I've always talk about Bill Simmons because he's the anti-Aaron. He just came back with his podcast off his firing of ESPN.
Oh, God.
He hated the first 2 episodes of The Walking Dead.
What?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah, I don't know.
Those were great episodes.
I don't know. But he's just like, the black and white, and why are they trying to get too snooty? And it's like, it's exactly what I said. This guy's wanting a straightforward example of reasonably good-looking people. But also Bill Simmons is a wrestling fan.
Oh, well, you can disregard everything he says.
But so there's an interesting, I saw a documentary over the weekend called Wrestling's Not Wrestling. And it really explained to me why people enjoy wrestling on the levels that they do.
It's a soap opera, right?
It is. It's kind of a masculine, ultra male soap opera with larger than life characters. But there's it's interesting because it never stops in the same way soap opera. So it's generational, and you have these upheavals and all this stuff. And like, it's kind of operatic if you look at the history of like a single character. And this documentary, in a very humorous way, takes us through the life of Triple H.
Okay.
And how he evolved and all that stuff. And it made it kind of compelling. The Walking Dead, if you're like looking at it from a wrestling point of view, he's got to be like the best fucking thing ever. Like, it's so much that, only better. So a guy like Bill Simmons, who can engage with The Wire and Breaking Bad, enjoy that, also can shift into I think he shifted to the wrestling part of his brain. So when they come at him with multiple parallel timelines and black and white and reversed, he's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? I don't want Memento in my WWE. I
just want to see action and straightforward drama.
But no, go to any average episode that we hate on the Reddit, the Walking Dead subreddit, and everybody is Curiously, that sub seems to love to talk about haters like their big problem, but they're not the ones getting top voted, and I don't know.
All right. Moving on, because we have a lot more shit to get
sorry.
through. Melissa says, please explain to me why Daryl left the herd and where he was going. To help Rick? Then he ends up meeting back up with Sasha, and there's no concern over the fork in the road that some walkers might stray. Heading back to Alexandria. She's confused about Daryl, and I think we are similarly confused as to his exact motivations and the timeline. But I think the basics
I'm
of
thinking
it
that
is
road is where Rick was going
changed
to
his
come
mind.
from on the RV. That he was going to loop around, and there's a road like the intercuts
Really?
between.
But then that shows us that Rick fucked things up,
We
right?
already know he did. That he needed more time from Glenn. He didn't get that more time. He's already surrounded. No, I mean, eventually, I don't think he. So if Daryl keeps leading the group away, then eventually Rick will get there and kind of like dovetail into it. And I don't know what the plan is after that, but
Yeah, I think maybe he might have like a second pack behind him.
seriously, there supposedly is going to be another road that bisects this that he can intercept them and get him to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So now that there's the gunfire's over and a horn,
the
that would have
timing is
worked.
going to have
Except
to
for
be
sure, that's why he needed the extra
exact.
time.
Because he's got to either meet up exactly when Sasha and Abraham do, because the herd's not going to stop for him to wait for them to show up, or he's got to wait until after they pass by and get behind the herd, and then he's sandwiched. I don't know how he gets out of that. That timing is going to be rough for him.
Sure. Yeah, no,
it's going to be interesting.
But I think that was what they were trying to do. He's going to try to seamlessly lead them to the end of the existing herd and get him back on track.
Tough. So she goes on, if Glenn is truly dead, because let's face it, the odds are not looking good, will Maggie even mourn his death? Look how they had her handle her sister missing. It was like she didn't give a shit.
No, missing is like your Schrodinger's boyfriend at that point.
Husband,
that's right.
Schrodinger's husband.
Yep.
Nathan says, after this episode, I want to officially make 2 different types of deaths for The Walking Dead. The swan song, where a character is made useful or important to the plot in the episode, or scenes before their death, in order to get some sort of emotional reaction when they finally bite the bullet. He lists T-Dog, Herschel, Beth, and Glenn as examples of that. And the other type of death, the siren's shriek, which is a bit of a mouthful. Where the characters
need to workshop that a bit. We'll get back to that.
Where the characters look good on paper, but the execution is botched enough to make people actively encourage their death in the show. Examples include Lori, Andrea, Tyrese, Lizzie, Mika, Noah. I'm looking at you, deck chair.
If only Noah had looked at the deck chair.
And then he goes through some of the characters that still seem to be alive, that are still alive, that seem to be relevant to either of these categories. First off, Carol has frequently flirted with joining the Swans, but manages to pull it back each time. The reason she is still alive is that she has been too relevant and too useful to ditch at all. Maggie and Gabriel are on the edge of being a siren by endangering the group on multiple occasions through inaction and generally refusing to acknowledge their surrounding situation. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Certainly Gabriel. Maggie had a moment in the tunnel where she was...
He put Eugene in that category too?
I don't... He doesn't,
Eugene's
no.
lovable. He's gone... He's passed through the event horizon, has come out the other side.
Like when he shoots the truck, I would say, yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah. He's a shrieker, but yeah, now I'm kind of
he's the show's comic relief.
You need him.
Yeah.
KCT says, adding more to the evidence that Glenn isn't dead. So I know you think it's impossible for Glenn to get out of his current predicament, but buckle up because somehow Glenn lives. Gimple said, well, we kind of talked about this, but in some way we will see Glenn, some version of Glenn or parts of Glenn again.
Maybe he's either assimilated by the Borg. Maybe he'll be a zombie.
Maybe
a Time Lord will come in and save him with the phone booth. Who knows?
Either a flashback of the current story to help complete the story. So that's his exact words. Make of those what you will. William, is it just me, or does anyone else think that Enid or one of the wolves took Judith? We saw her on the baby monitor at the beginning of JSS, and I thought for sure Carl would look and see she was gone when he took out the casserole, but it was cut away.
No way. No way.
Then in thank you...
Carl fall asleep?
Then in thank you, Rick finds the baby food on one of the wolves. I think they are setting up a kidnapping in the next episode. Let me know what you guys think. Could the baby food be a hint that Judith will be a target very soon? I kind of like this theory. It's stretching, but I kind of like it.
The problem I have with the baby food is, I guess that would be in a pantry, maybe? Because I don't think they got into Rick's house. Carl was guarding that with a fucking assault rifle. I don't think Carl fell asleep.
No, you're right.
And Carl, after everything was over, pulled out the spring cleaning casserole like nothing was amiss.
Yeah, nobody got in Rick's house.
Would The Walking Dead do this? Sure.
But clearly they had baby food, right? That's not in dispute.
No, and it's weird that I guess if there's no other babies in town that you would have the baby food kept in the pantry. But then again, if you're getting down to eating celery soup, how far is eating baby food down the line? I mean, maybe that it is something and they all had dumb rules. So maybe they made Rick parcel up all of his formula and shit and they're spooning it out to him just because that's their dumb rule. I don't know.
Maybe.
Lydia had to have something useful to do for herself. That was her name? The woman stuck in a pantry?
So
Lydia. I was trying to think of Carol screaming the name, and that's what came out. So,
all right. Moving on. Beverly B says, so everyone I know believes Glenn survived thanks to the screening attributes of the zombie guts. Which, first of all, it wasn't even zombie guts that would be flowing on him. It would just be Nicholas guts, which he thinks they would just want to eat. But if zombie guts work that well, then it raises the problem I've had from early on. Why don't they cover themselves in zombie guts all the time?
Yeah.
Got a limp? Like in this episode?
Sure.
Cover yourself in zombie guts. There's lots of them around. Limp along with the herd. Up until now, I've given it a pass, although it bugged me by telling myself that the gut shield would take a while to set up and would work imperfectly up close. I don't know. A lot of ambiguity around how it works and why it works. And
like it's the only downside is you smell revolting. It is curious that they wouldn't even have, like, maybe you even build big bulky suits that have guts and stuff on it that you can take on and off. Or I guess
she suggests that too. Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know, man.
Seppenwall mentioned in his reviews, like, I wonder if that's something that Gimple wishes that they could undo, or Kirkman, because Kirkman's the one that did it, wishes that they could undo, because it's like, that seems like a great answer for everything.
Guts. Yeah.
You're stuck in this place, you need to get out, and there's a bunch of zombies. Guts.
They know it works. Just as long as it's not raining, it works.
As it's not raining.
There you go. There's your out. Have a scene. Every time you don't want them to use it, have a scene where it's raining.
Rain, sure.
Yeah. Carol from Richmond, Virginia says, here's my beef with this episode. Cloaking. She's going to talk about the pets, I think. Yeah, Michonne's character is introduced as a stealthy badass arriving in the midst of a zombie herd by way of 2 zombie companions. Why not pull a couple of zombies in the pet shop and make escorts for the group? At the very least, why not have Gimpy 1 and Gimpy 2 roll around in some zombie entrails? If they fall behind, they have last line of defense. It would have been a great way to demonstrate Michonne's experience to Heath without suffering through another speech about it. And I think, that's key, right?
Like, how fucked up would that be? Because I'm sure, I mean, like, they're just start butchering and like, okay, you're not going to believe this, but this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's going to work? Pretty sure.
Done it before.
Yeah, I mean, that would come across as savvy and clever. Yeah.
And he never would have thought of it, and he could have been, thoroughly impressed by it.
Sure.
When he sees it.
Yeah, that'd have been interesting.
I agree. Okay, Reed from Calgary says, overall, I like the episode, that I feel like I didn't really understand why certain characters were doing certain things. Maybe I just watched it too late, or maybe I missed a mumbled line, but why did Daryl suddenly take off? Where'd he go to? Where did Rick go to? What was he trying to do? Why did Glenn and Nicholas run for blocks and blocks to burn down a building? Was everything else made of solid concrete? I don't know. He's just questioning, like, what was going on. And in case we hadn't talked about it, I wanted to leave this in here, but I think we've covered it. He also says, by the way, have they actually said that Maggie is pregnant? Because she's obviously pregnant, right? I think that's what they were getting at before Glenn left last time.
It's not obvious, but that's certainly a fan theory.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's obvious either. Andrew E. says, last season it seemed Noah wanted Glenn to watch him die, which I found to be an unreasonable request, but I guess that's the mindset of this world. We're all in this shit show together, and I'd rather have your company and die horribly and slowly than be snuffed out gratefully. Watch me die. It will make me feel better. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the mentality of these people. Also, he says favorite line of the episode award goes to Rick for the horn stopped. Good. We didn't talk about the shitty dialogue because I think I have a couple of emails about it, but yeah, there was some just bad exposition. Like, no, we hear it. We hear the horn stopped, and maybe have a different character say good.
Yeah.
So he doesn't come across like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, even then, like, you couldn't shoot Noah because the glass door is the only thing keeping him alive. So there's a reason for Glenn to, be like, look at him.
And he was stuck there, right?
Yes.
Like, he couldn't.
These lack of mercy killings just seem like you're... Again, I keep going back to Obi-Wan Kenobi. To me, that's the worst moment in the prequel. That he left his best friend to die on a mountain. He just cut his shit completely off.
Yeah.
He's on fire and screaming. And it's not Jedi to put him out of his misery. He's not driven from the place by the Emperor coming. There's no battle droids. He just says, again, you're the asshole, Anakin. I've left you in anguish, Princess Bride style, but you're the asshole.
Yeah.
Wow. And that Michonne is essentially Obi-Wan this entire episode.
Okay, we got one more email on the meta of Glenn being dead or not.
Oh, boy.
Sleeve says, this episode was an unfortunate drop after 2 amazing episodes. I agree. He's super disappointed in the storyline because both options, him being dead or alive, suck.
Yep.
If he's dead, it was an anticlimactic end to a long-term, well-loved character. I actually think that's kind of a good thing in this universe, but I'm going to continue. He was treated like an afterthought. Although I have to say it was interesting to see a leading character have a realistic death. No 10-minute heartfelt monologues or heroic self-sacrifices, just a bad decision, a dead end, and a shitload of zombies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's...
I agree. I don't know that that's such a bad thing if he's... I think the way that they handled it, yes, if he's dead, it's a bad thing now.
Well, I mean, we've said this like 6 times in the podcast. If they die, go with the nihilist, anyone can die at any time, that's actually kind of commendable.
Yeah. On the other hand, if he's alive, the writers are trolling the audience so hard, it's beyond insulting. Seriously, you're going to tell us Glenn got out of that? So Dickless fell right on top of him, and even though Glenn's head is right there in the open, the zombies just ignore him, and he scoots under the dumpster and makes it out. Ridiculous.
He's also screaming, which is an understandable reaction, but that's not something that would make a zombie not fall on you and try to eat you either.
Screaming would attract zombies.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
So, like, play dead. Go with the bald move strategy of playing dead.
Yes. Yeah. Justin says, one thing I've noticed about The Walking Dead writing over the past few episodes is a rampant use of ambiguity and doubt. Is Sasha suicidal? No, she says with a half smile. Is Xena the wolf? Probably not, but there's evidence and lack thereof either way. Is Glenn dead? Most likely, but there's just enough doubt to leave the door open that he is. Or that he's not. How do you think the use of ambiguity works on a show like this, especially since in the past the show has been quite demonstrably unambiguous to the point of beating you over the head with character motivations and death scenes? So does that undermine the times they try to go for some ambiguity?
Of course. The boy who cried
I agree,
wolf.
yeah.
Because and it's different because The Leftovers is a show we're currently digging on, and it is all about ambiguity. Everything could be taken 2 different ways depending on where you approach the material. But it's interesting and kind of thrilling.
And it's consistent, too.
Yeah, but it's a different type of story, too.
Yeah.
This isn't a zombie melodrama. So I feel like that...
And the ambiguity is never, is this character dead or alive, right?
Yeah.
Like, is what you're actually seeing on the screen the thing that actually happened?
Right. So if that was one of the conceits of Walking Dead, one of the premises is that at no time it's a psychological thing, a thriller, and you got to decide what's real for yourself and what's not.
It's more like, what does this mean?
Yeah. So The Walking Dead, I don't think can get away with that. No, I think it's much more like The Boy Who Cries Wolf, where, these fans, I feel sorry for them. They spend 48 hours grieving for Glenn. And, like, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, a character, like, I stopped reading Game of Thrones. Jesus, I get this is 3 years ago, but I'll protect you people that haven't fucking got around to watching Game of Thrones yet. I stopped reading the book when I got to a certain event for 2 weeks because it just broke me. I'm like, fuck this series. Fuck Martin. You've taken every bit of hope away from me, and I hate you all.
If it had been a bait and switch.
Yeah, if that's been and I had done that, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for the people that have really been bummed out these last 2-3 days. Assuming that we find out, and I'll be ultra bummed if it turns out that yes, Glenn is dead, because we've been spilling so much hot air about it, which I guess is what they want. God damn those people.
I think so. Okay. So Mike kind of lays out a case for why this would be good if he were actually dead. He says, look, Glenn didn't get a long, drawn-out, and transparent episode devoted to his death, and I thought that was awesome. Not everyone gets to go out as a hero. Glenn's death is a tragic, gruesome statement about the way shit happens in this world. Glenn just ran out of luck, tried to help/trust the wrong person one too many times, and it sucks, but that doesn't mean it wasn't impactful. And he was surprised at our response to this in the instant cast, and I think, we hadn't thought about it. He says the dramatic implications around the fact that people don't even know what happened to him is so sad. I know Jim is an emotionless robot, but you too, Aaron. Come on.
Well, but I think you got it that I was skeptical that he was dead from the jump. I really just didn't buy it. But once I thought about it, I think that would have been a cool way to go.
He also says, I think you can also appreciate what's going on thematically in this episode. David's story, who's the guy we kept calling Tobin in the first one.
Not Tobin.
About Betsy. Dude, that's Glenn's story. The parallelism is fantastic.
How is it Glenn's story?
He met a girl story. After the... Yeah.
But Glenn was never one of the lost, damned savages.
No, he wasn't.
Michonne and Rick were
say his piece here.
Okay, all right.
It tells the story of Glenn without saying it's about Glenn. How they show Nicholas breaking throughout this episode is also really good. Then when Glenn finally accepts Nicholas by letting him show him the way, this is the final straw, man. He's like trying to lay out a case for why this episode was better than we gave it credit for, and I don't disagree that some of these themes might have been good. It's just the way that they're undercut at the end.
I think this is a rare case where the episode is worse than we were letting on in the instant cast.
Maybe so. Austin Jack says, Fist Bump is pregnant in real life, and in episode 2 was clearly showing. How will they write this into the show? Will Fist Bump be asked who the father is, and Eugene will step forward and say, I engaged Fist Bump in sexual relations in an attempt to create a type of harmony between us, and as a result of this encounter, a child was conceived, and this child will grow and will be a bringer of the cure. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle that. I mean, they'll hide it. They'll hide it as best they can and hope that nobody cares.
That occasionally happens on Walking Dead or on TV shows.
It happened with Sasha last season. I think they can do it.
And a gun.
I mean, she was clearly pregnant in the last episode. I noticed it while watching it, but I don't care.
No, I think it happened to Anna Gunn season 4 Walking Dead of Breaking Bad. She had a baby, gained some weight. You have one. It's like same thing with Chandler on Friends. Like, dude had a hardcore pain addiction habit, and he was super skinny, kind of dangerously skinny Chandler. And the next year you got fat Chandler, and then the year after that you got normal Chandler. It did have people have real lives. They don't have to work it in to the show.
Sure. Jackie says, most of the discussion about this week's episode seems to be arguing whether or not Glenn is dead. There's one more thing no one else seems to be talking about, so I thought I'd pass it on. Glenn appears to die in much the same situation, and from the same camera angle that we saw Rick trapped in, which I guess is narrative symmetry of some sort. But of course, Rick didn't actually die in that tank. Meanwhile, there's this exchange between Rick and Glenn from Season 1, Episode 2, Guts, where they first met face-to-face. Rick says, back at the tank, why'd you stick your neck out for me? Glenn says, call it foolish, naive hope that if I'm ever that far up shit creek, somebody might do the same for me. Guess I'm an even bigger dumbass than you. Many seasons later, Glenn is indeed up a similar shit creek, pinned down while the walkers occupy themselves while pulling guts out of his trusty companion. Rick had the horse, Glenn has Nicholas. About the same. Except you can't ride Nicholas out of a bad situation.
Watch him. Watch him.
Maybe someone will do the same as he did for Rick and stick their neck out for him.
No,
that's an interesting bit of dialogue. I do like that.
Like I said, the one absolute answer that Gimple and Nicotero have for snarky assholes like us is to be cackling to themselves as they're seeing all this reaction and didn't do something epic and mind-blowing. They fucked it up by going up there and talking about it, but they could. There is a place I could kind of squint and see something kind of epic. It might be unbelievable. You might not believe that Glenn was able to get underneath the whatever, but I can see conceptually some awesome things coming out of here, grudgingly. So,
okay.
And I'm ready. Like, honestly, if they do something cool with the tie into that tank scene, I'll be the first one to be like, yep, they got me.
All right. I want to talk about a slightly different angle on this. Ed says, false hope defeated is a beat often played on The Walking Dead. I think we'll see Glenn play out in a way somewhat familiar to how Sophia did in season 2. Speculation, a search, some hope, and ultimately a corpse. Mm-hmm. Zombie Glenn is a certainty. So he's definitely on Zombie Glenn is dead. Do you think that'd be interesting? Like, they're kind of setting us up for everyone thinking that Glenn is dead, right? No smoke. Mm-hmm. Rick's going to think it. Michonne's going to think it. The people who matter are going to go back and say Glenn died.
Yeah, especially when he never shows up. Well, presumably. But he's got the CV. That's the thing. They'll know. Like, if,
you're right.
If Glenn's alive,
yeah, Rick would.
But if he's dead, then man, they were really going to town on him. I would imagine you'd see Glenn's head on a skeleton as a zombie.
Maybe, yeah. Devin from Alexandria, Virginia. Good God, the dialogue in the first part of the episode was terrible. It wasn't a problem with the delivery. The acting was well done. It was just so expositional that it felt forced and out of character. Scenes that come to mind are when random Alexandrian lady mentions that they can run and walkers can only walk. When Rick matter-of-factly points out that the horn stopped and how that's a good thing. When shoulder-bitten guy mentions he has a wife. And when Nicholas picks up the hat of dead Alexandrian dude from the road.
Or the whole, like, Michonne checking his wound. How does it look? About what you'd think. Like,
yeah.
He got bit on the neck, man. It doesn't matter. Oh, it looks great. It looks great.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Go heal up, no problem. You're going to scab up. It's already stopped bleeding.
Yeah.
He just, plus it undercuts the whole thing of, like, I know what this means. Next episode, can you look at my boot? Come on, get the fuck out of here. Not Tobin.
JK has another point of bullshit that we didn't mention. When Michonne and group were in the abandoned town, they heard gunshots coming from Alexandria, right? Mm-hmm. Then why didn't they hear all the gunfire of Nicholas and Glenn only a block or so away? That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
It's true, because they were popping off like crazy in there.
They were. So the smoke shouldn't be the only indication that they ran into some trouble, or the lack of smoke, rather.
True.
Bill from Houston wants to know if we're going to gray out Glenn on our cover art. I don't know. I got to wait.
You know, it's funny because it's been a long time since I haven't had to flip a color. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Glenn, Rick, and Carl are the only ones left ungrayed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so, I think you probably should. Will you?
Probably.
I don't know, but should you? Probably.
Final email. Dan B. Had a quick point about Glenn's death from last episode. I say death because if he somehow survived that, I'm calling bullshit of all bullshits on that. Anyway, a recurring theme throughout the episode is that sometimes you have to leave people behind. Yes, that is obvious. Rick tells Michonne that they'll have to leave some Alexandrians behind. Michonne has a whisper fight with Heath, telling him that sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to leave. And I liked how Glenn's
the
death...
whisper fight was kind of entertaining. I forgot to mention that, but it was them hissing back and forth as like, you know, brother sister fighting in church or something. Stop touching me! No, you stop touching me.
So he liked how Glenn's death wasn't right at the end of the episode, and there was still quite a bit of action after that. I thought that it made us as the viewers have to do just that and keep on moving. We didn't have time to mourn good guy Glenn too much because there was still a fair amount of show left, and Daryl was going AWOL and Rick was in trouble. I was curious what you guys thought of this.
It just makes me mad because I'm thinking of like how much better this show could be if they deliberately did things like that, killed Glenn, and then like have Michonne, you know, scream to somebody, "We've got to keep moving." Or
I do like it. Like that's an interesting thing structurally, though. We're going to continue to bombard you with stuff, so you don't have time to really mourn Glenn so much.
Right. And
keep
like
going.
Anytime you can feel a little bit of what it feels like to be in a universe, I think is something that you should encourage. Whereas this show is the opposite. It encourages you to actively kind of sit back and have some kind of, you know, you either enjoying on a wrestler level, so you don't really care about the characters, or you're engaging it in like a hate watch, kind of like, oh, like, you know, fuck these people, make fun of it. It could have been better.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's all the emails we have. I think we're going to do a short spoiler section after the fact, after the music. So, you know, if you want to stick around for that, you can. We got some contact info, some stuff we can
Watching Dead at baldmove.com if you want to send us email. And also forums.baldmove.com if you want to join in. There's like 135 comments in the first 24 hours on this thing. That's a new...
so like half the email.
Just right? No,
I got so much email, man.
That's the thing. Like, you're probably getting about half of the Game of Thrones. Like, you gotta bulk up. You know, it's like I saw you.
I'm glad I can't do Game of Thrones email.
You're editing live on the air. That's like the sec. You're like now moving to brown belt.
Phase 2.
Yeah, yeah. You can just like mentally. I've been talking about this way too long. Cut.
Yeah,
those are the bloodless cuts. You don't even
Black
feel
belt
those.
is when you don't repeat. You're able to discern what you've already talked about on the fly.
Mentally just know I can skip through that. Yeah.
That requires an attention to the emails that I don't quite have yet.
So my big thing with email is I hate cutting anyone. Like, if you took the trouble to write me, it stings like a tear in my asshole to just skip over your well-reasoned thing that someone beat you to by a half hour.
I'm feeling it.
So I always throw in a bunch of stuff because for whatever reason, when I'm out of time and I'm just frantically skipping stuff, those are like Alexandrian deaths. People that I'm actually cutting, like, or I'm actually weighing their email like a lamb and like whether it gets into my notes or not. That's like a Glenn death. Mm-hmm. If I'm like Ed, like, oh shit, zombies are after me, I'm up against a time limit, you're dead. You're a mook. So I always tend to have like twice as much email as I can actually read just to get around.
Oh wow,
my squeamishness of cutting people.
Yeah, see, I'm not good enough yet to know that I'll be able to not read it on the air. So
oh well.
I'm
glad you're the one suffering.
Yeah. Game of Thrones will be back on eventually, and you'll be screwed. All right. Thanks to everybody who sent in emails. I'm sorry if I had to cut you. We're gonna do a little spoiler section, so stick around after the music. If not. Till next time, I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron. See ya.
And we're back with the spoiler section. I've got a few emails to talk about this Glenn death from a little more spoilery respect.
Sure. Yep.
A lot of pictures going around. Louis B says he originally thought, oh my God, Glenn can't die, but he did die. But then, so I'm not sure where this pic came from, but if you remember from the comics, Aaron, the Jesus character appears a bit later and isn't in the show yet. And he sends a picture of Jesus standing next to Glenn and Rick and Daryl, like all of these guys together.
Because Daryl's not in the comics. Probably Abraham.
No. He sends a set photo. A photo from the filming of the show where Jesus and Glenn and I think Daryl are standing next to each other. Mm-hmm. So we know that somehow he's got to be on camera.
See, I was dying to point this out, but I couldn't talk about. I still can't do it because this is spoilers for not the other show I want to talk about. Jesus. Man, I really want to make a comparison to contemporary situations that I can't. Son of a bitch. Because that also cuts it out that they've got leaked photos of Jesus and Glenn hanging out. And I'm sure Glenn's in costume. He's not like in street clothes, right?
No, he's in costume.
So now, because I even mentioned, I think before I left Sunday night, I said the only thing that I could see them doing is like introducing the Jesus character because he's kind of like this. I mean, I can't. Michonne is probably the other iconic character entrance that was kind of like, oh wow, this is kind of it expands what we thought we could see in The Walking Dead when she shows up with her pets, you know, and her samurai sword. Jesus is kind of that next level thing. I don't think they quite ever nailed with Abraham because Abraham was another kind of like, God, this guy's like right out of Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos stepping onto the comic book page. But yeah, I thought like maybe Jesus could come in there but man, Jesus is not actually the Messiah. He's not the Christ. He doesn't have magic Jesus powers. He's just a man. He's a very talented hand-to-hand combat, kind of like what we've seen of Morgan, only more so.
Okay.
I don't know how he gets Glenn out of there. Plus, that would wreck. Now that I've seen it a bunch of times, and I've heard, I caught the dumbass over to CB, but the whole Glenn saying maybe when this happens to me, someone will. That kind of wrecks the symmetry with him and Glenn. I guess someone does not mean that Glenn himself has to repay the favor, but it feels like that they've set up with all that to having.
Yeah, have Rick help him out.
But I don't know. Maybe Jesus can. I just don't know what Jesus would do. turn water into wine.
Really? Are you asking yourself, what would Jesus do?
He just raises him from the dead, Lazarus style. Glenn, my faithful servant, come. And then he just gets up.
Jake from Tallahassee has a question about it. He sends in the same spoiler picture with Glenn not being dead. He says, if true, how will Bald Move deal with the fake out? I don't think you guys will rage quit one of your biggest shows, but what's the appropriate response for something like that? The Walking Dead is such a machine that nothing fans do really matters. Next week's episode will likely do insane numbers, and AMC / The Walking Dead sacrificing narrative integrity was totally worth it. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, right? Like, what is there anything that can be done that can piss people off so much that they will stop watching the show and the numbers required to really put a dent in it?
Yeah, no, it can happen. Like and you don't ever.
Is this one of those things?
You never see it happen until it does. You know.
Sure.
Like people right now, I'm a big football fan, but people are actively saying like, when does all these drip drops of scandals and the NFL being greedy and not caring about player safety, when does that actually start to penetrate the American psyche? And I feel like it's already starting. And now we got a Will Smith movie that's going to blow the lid off of it. And
that's the thing.
The way announcers talk about big hits nowadays has changed and kind of cast a pall. So yes, even something as popular as American football in the United States, which is hard to understate how fucking popular it is.
Yeah.
It can fall off the throne if they don't watch it. So
I don't know what it would. It's not like a bomb just drops on the show one episode and everybody goes, fuck this, I'm out. No, it's a snowball.
It's a drip drop. Yeah. And to me, asking if I'd not do The Walking Dead, I mean, if they put in a Fear the Walking Dead season.
Every time they have a great episode, it takes a flamethrower to that snowball, right? And like pares it down a little bit and says, okay,
sure,
we're back on track. And then that snowball has to get rolling again. And
I would say, because that's the thing, I've never, if they have an 8-episode season stretch where it's just really dire and I feel like they're phoning it in and they're having important characters that I care about, like Rick and Michonne and Carl acting in bizarre, crazy ways. Yeah, I mean, definitely they can fuck it up that bad. That's one of the frustrating things on the show. They always do just enough execution and just enough genuinely fun moments that I enjoy watching for those, and I can still kind of maintain an affectionate hate watch for the rest.
Yep.
Eventually, that will no longer be the case. I mean, I've quit better shows. I've quit a lot better shows. I quit The X-Files, but like around season 6. I quit Lost season 2. Like, I will quit a show. I quit The Americans.
Yeah.
So it can happen. I just don't know what it would take for some. And it's weird.
Sure.
You got the people like Bill Simmons who, I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons they're such a huge. They appeal just enough to both of these different fan bases that they have like 2 shows worth of fans. They got the fans that are looking for serious drama that they give just enough breadcrumbs that they keep watching. They got the fans of
man, if you want that, go to Breaking Bad. Like, just go rewatch Breaking Bad and be done with it.
So why?
Because that's like the perfect storm as far as like, we're going to give you just enough action and just enough smarts and just enough drama. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Tie a ribbon on it. Mitch from South Carolina. It's very confusing. Talking about Glenn's death, assuming Glenn is dead, could this mean that they shuffle Glenn's Lucille death to Daryl? I can't imagine any other characters death being meaningful enough for that treatment.
I've been repping that since.
Yeah, I think we have.
I've said that, like, that's the ultimate, like, if you want Negan, whatever, to come in and have people instantly pop.
Yeah. Just have
him beat
Daryl
to fucking death with a baseball bat. And it's on. It is fucking on. And now, I mean, and I don't know, man. I feel like stronger than ever that maybe that's what they'll do, because they've kind of shot their wad at the Glenn death. If they kill him later on the season, what the hell?
Yeah, it's going to be without teeth. Adam M. sends in another spoiler. Different. Not talking about Glenn's death. So I know I've sent like 4 other emails already over the last 2 weeks. That's fine. It happens. About spoilers, but the IMDb trivia has done it yet again, because this was just added to the list of spoilers for 6/16, and he sends
6/16.
Yeah, for next half season. The
They're
end
even
of
done
this full
filming
season.
that, are they?
I don't know, but here's what's written on IMDb according to him on the trivia for that episode. Rumored to be the first appearance of the beloved comic book villain Negan, There was a casting call for this episode for a character with the exact description of Negan named Orin, Orin.
Huh.
And then a small Negan cameo will be shown in this episode. Another comment, Negan will be making his first on-screen appearance. And then at the end of it, Morgan Jones dies in this episode.
Morgan getting beat to death with a baseball bat would be interesting. Bringing him back is, I could see me caring and giving a shit about that too. You can't beat the heat for Daryl, but that's an expensive round of ammunition to fire.
Yeah.
There's only one Daryl, and there's still people repping the Daryl Dies We Riot t-shirts at every con I've ever been to. So
that's another pretty good option, is if they can do some cool stuff with Morgan over this next season, then have him killed by Negan. I like that. So the email that we moved into the spoiler section here is the final one. Reed from Calgary. He says, I hope that Rick survives. I hope he gets out of the RV before the swarm came. I do like the hand injury. I wonder if that will turn into something. In the comics, Rick lost his hand a long time ago, and I was wondering if they'd ever go down that road. I know Kirkman says he regretted doing that in the comics, but it might be interesting to see Rambo Rick suddenly crippled. Then he couldn't do it all by himself, and maybe he'd have to start to teach, train, and mentor the survivors. Could be good for his character. What do you think? Is this going to be Farmer Rick all over again? Do we want to see that?
So, the only thing I can say against that is that's Kirkman says it's his biggest regret. Now I can see him getting his writer hat on and being like, oh, how can I do this in a way that's going to be, I've learned from my mistakes and it's remix time. So yeah, I can see him cutting his arm off. And would
it be good for the character of Rick? Like,
I don't understand.
Turning him
honestly,
into a mentor.
I don't know why he said that's his biggest regret. That maybe it puts so many constraints on it. Because Rick's has never not been a man of action.
Yeah,
he's just in there with his stump swinging away and shooting guns and slicing, and it didn't really slow him down much. So I don't know
if
it
just wrote him into a corner that he didn't feel comfortable in.
Well, maybe that's a good thing for Kirkman to be in a little box of his own making, because I've not been too impressed with his remix stuff. But is it good for the character? I don't know. And the evidence for is that they were weirdly emphasizing his hand injury.
They were, and I felt like it was such a minor thing that, like, why focus on it so much?
It didn't interfere with him driving the RV.
Is it gonna? That to me says it's going to be a big deal later on.
Maybe they did have to amputate it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, and it'd be a pain in the ass for Andrew Lincoln because now he's got to wear a green sock on his hand, and they got to digitally edit the stuff shit out all the time.
I mean, it's clear to me that he cut his hand, not that he got bit. Because I don't know why. I mean, maybe if his hand gets like gangrene or something, don't they have medicine?
That's what I'm saying.
They have antibiotics.
That's what I
and
said.
Shit
Denise,
back in Alexandria.
if she cannot, it seemed like they have a well-stocked infirmary.
Yeah.
So,
but if it's a bite, maybe he need to take it off. But
yeah,
it didn't seem like a bite to me.
Maybe he's allergic to penicillin and that's all they got. That's my fate. And I'm allergic to penicillin. So
Jesus, don't get an infection.
No,
they have other antibiotics.
They do, but I wonder if they're as commonly stocked or as easy to come by. I would imagine not.
Nope.
Let's stock a bunch of the less effective version of penicillin just for the people that are too allergic.
Nope, let's not. That's the end of the episode.
All right.
Thanks everybody for listening. See you next time.
All right, bye-bye.